Hello and welcome back to Nice and Blunt. It's good to be back. It's been a week, but we are here. It's the BBM launch day. We got some new tournaments on Underdog. It's a very exciting day. The draft is taking place, and we're here to draft some best ball teams. Let us begin. We were away for a week, so some of the controls are a little bit skewed, but we're back. It's very, very good to be here. Good evening, Scott. Nice to see you, my man. And Who Hames, what's in here, fam? If you have not done so already, subscribe to Who Hames' channel. He's got a 12-hour live stream planned for next Sunday. I will be in attendance, making an appearance, and he's been on the channel a couple times. I'm sure he'll be back soon. Looking forward to that, and definitely shout out Who Hames. Very, very sharp drafter. So this was a draft I actually did in Who Hames' lobby earlier, and this was a puppy, and I'm glad I did it just for the experience, because the adjusting to an 18-round draft is going to take a little time. I think my mindset is still definitely skewed towards the 20-round format, and there are some changes to be made. So just a little review of the team I did. There were some clicks I legitimately regret. We had Gibbs at the 102. Neighbors fell to 23. That was phenomenal. Took Nico in the third after Devontae Smith. I'll do that all day. Went Bucky at pick 47. DJ Moore in the fifth. I wish I took Lamar Jackson. I wish I just went quarterback and just kind of secured that, because I made a big mistake taking RJ Harvey at 71. I don't know what I was thinking. Instantly regret that. Then I took Jadarian Price at 74. I think in the 70s is where he should really be going, now that we know for sure he is a Seahawk. But I wish I took Price over Harvey and then took Dart to just stack up with Neighbors. I think I would have been in much better shape. But then we took Jaden Reed, Kyler Murray, Matthew Golden, Gadsden. Felt a little weak at quarterback, so I took Ward and Stroud in the 140s. Brian Robinson at 167. For him to still be there is phenomenal. Great value. And then TJ Hawkinson, Gunnar Helm for some stacks. It was okay, but I felt pretty thin with some of my running wide receiver depth towards the end. Kayshon Boutte, Jalen Knoll. The Knoll pick was a bit regrettable, so a couple clicks I'd like to have back, but my first true crack at it, and a good reminder that it may take some time to readjust my strategy for the sake of it. But Who Hames asking what I think of his robust build. He had 3 straight running backs. Rico Dowdle didn't take another one. I don't quite remember the exact combination, but I did like some of the clicks. I thought it was pretty solid. I thought your punting at tight end was the most notable strategy adjustment I think I would have liked to take on for the sake of myself. But Sanka's in here. That was his first draft as well. He was in there at the 110. Went Jefferson, Hampton, Tet. And then what's up, Frank? How we doing, King of Kings? I believe you were in this draft as well in Who Hames' lobby. You were at the 109, correct? Yeah, you went Amon-Ra, Saquon, T. Higgins, and we had Jamie in here. Bonjour. Bonjour, my friend. Anytime Jamie hops in, it's always a reminder. Let's put the music on. Let's get it going. So we're going to be hopping in. We'll revisit some draft landing spots as we go on. But a quick shout out down below. In the chat, you'll see the poll. If we can get to 42 likes, I will take a rip from the bong and give whoever is drafting with me phenomenal plus EV. If I do a bong rip on the first day of the contest, I think I will struggle. I think I will definitely make some mistakes. So if that's what you'd like to see happen, we'll definitely do an extra draft if we do hit that 42 like goal as well. And do me a favor if that's what you would like. Support the channel. Drop a like. Drop a subscription if you're enjoying the content, but obviously it is early in the video. I understand if you want to make me earn it. Let's try to earn your subscription, shall we? So let's bring in the music. Let's bring it in. Music provided by Jamie Pirog, our good friend, who hopefully we'll have back on the channel soon. I want to do today's stream solo, and then over the next 2 weeks, bring back some familiar faces and get some more opinions, and hopefully have a consistent schedule of guests. I liked that addition to the channel last couple months, and hopefully we will bring it back very soon. This last week, though, I had some stuff in my life that got in the way, so we almost had Who Hames on the channel last week, but sadly, my bad, scheduling conflict got in the way. Last minute situation. And then I did go on a little vacation over the weekend. Went to the Sequoia National Park, see the massive trees, and boy, that was a very nice weekend. I had a blast with me and my girl. So I'm back. It's been a week. We are hopping into Best Ball Mania 7, our first entry into the contest. We're looking to make $2 million by winning this thing outright. But even if we make the final, we're still in relatively good shape. We'd make $37.50 for hitting the final. We'd make 25 grand if we finish top 40. And if you finish top 10, you're making well over 100,000. But really, we're trying to shoot for first. We're trying to take down this massive contest, win $2 million, and who knows? Maybe we'll do it on the first day of the contest. But at the very least, we're going to get familiar and provide some good content for y'all. So we are hopping in to Best Ball Mania 7 in 10 seconds. I hope you're ready. I hope you have it down. I'm hopping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 6 spots left. We'll see how quickly this thing fills, and then we'll probably do a puppy for the second one. I think our second one will be a puppy, but there's also a chance if the likes are getting close to that 42, then maybe, like if let's say I'm at 25, 30 likes by the end of this first draft, then I'll probably do a second Best Ball Mania. Today, first day available. Let's try to find some good values, and who knows? Maybe we'll do 2. But Hartman, what's up, my man? How you doing? I hope you're enjoying your Monday. Thank you for joining us. And then Kijo, hello, my friend. I love the punctuation as well. Just a formal hello. Nothing more, nothing less. But thank you, my man. Appreciate the good vibes. But my bad. I'm realizing right now I effed up with the audio. Our audio was much lower than I would have expected. So let's bring that in. Apologies. Here we go. Now we're drafting the right way. Now we're drafting. That was an AI generated hello. Very prompt, very formal. I appreciate it. Love when y'all let me know you're in here with me. Lets me is a nice reminder that I'm not alone for these live streams. But is anyone drafting with us? Do I recognize? I recognize Dave Arang. Looks like David's in here. Howdy, my man. We see King of QC as well at pick 6. Libra. I think Libra might be watching. We've definitely drafted many teams alongside Libra. I got the 103. I'm excited for that. We either get a great fall on running back or we take Jamar Chase. That feels excellent. And then I'm scanning. I recognize Super Beast. Super Beast. Is B-Rock Super Beast? Keith is Super Beast. My bad. Okay. Gibbs at the 103 in our first Best Ball Mania. Phenomenal. Good luck to everyone drafting with us, and I hope there are no snipes. But if I get sniped, it's never personal. I understand it's never personal. Like on occasion, there's someone that really gets spiteful, and I'll be honest. On occasion, I do it myself. But in general, the reason you snipe is because it's just the best. It's the better decision. It's the right click. It is the better structural decision for your team. That's the only reason. But Super Beast, Keith getting unique, pulls up James Cook to the 105. Didn't expect to see that, but we get Gibbs at the 103. There's a unique lobby. Interesting things are happening, and it's the first day of the contest. Let's go. You know, especially when it goes your way, you don't want some weird shit to happen. Maybe that's what Keith is trying to do. Nah, I'm hopeful that I can just land the plane. Ultimately, I just don't want to fuck up the rest of it. But Who Haim says this year BBM is such a better structure. I would agree. Last year I was not that excited to be drafting a shit ton of Best Ball Mania teams. I'll probably be drafting at least 3 per week. I do not have the bankroll to be maxing this contest, but I absolutely will be giving you as many Best Ball Mania drafts as I can. And a quick reminder while we're waiting for our next pick, what the structure entails, because Who Hames has a point here. Not only is the payout structure what it is, pretty loaded up top. If you finish top 10, boy, you are really, really in a good spot. Over $100,000 to each of the top 10 finishers. We mentioned $2 million for first, but the advanced structure is much better, at least a little better. If you do make the playoffs, you're in a 1 of 14 lobby. So a little tough to advance in week 15. However, in week 16, last year it was more difficult. Last year it was 1 out of 16. This year it's 1 out of 12. I'll take that. An 8% chance to advance in the semifinals to make a 667 person final where you at least get 3750 minimum. And then, you know, all of the chances that we're shooting for, all of the optimism that we are convincing ourselves is worth hopping into this tournament in the first place. So more excited about that. Obviously 2 out of 12 advance in this pod that we're in. And yeah, it's still tough. Let's not pretend like it's not difficult. 1 out of 14, 1 out of 12 in the playoffs just to make the final, where you have to face 666 other people. Let's not pretend like this is an easy tournament, but it's still a little bit more exciting than last year. We do have some interesting things going on. Yikes. Not an exciting spot, to be honest. I think I'm gonna try it, but shit. I'm not in love with it. I'm gonna go Bowers here. Boy, the massive run on running back. Usually Derrick Henry is still available for me in this range, so that's kind of my go-to. But I'm gonna ignore tight end for the entirety of this draft unless we get some like massive faller at some point. But like, I'm gonna lock myself into just 2 tight ends. And structurally speaking, I'm not really convinced that like the other players in this range are really the right choices. But I am 100% Bowers over McBride. And I think at least at the 2-3 turn, a lot of these clicks in the 20s get very similar. And I'll do something I don't usually do, but I ultimately do believe that Bowers here is correct. So I will go Bowers, and then Nico's still on the board. I think so. I think we'll go a little balanced. Shout out Young Moolah, a little stud at every position so far. Gibbs, Bowers, Nico as the leaders at those 3 positions. Studs in my lineup. I feel fairly confident in that, but will it be correct? I'm not sure. Super Beast continues to get unique. Pulls up Javonte Williams at pick 29. And as always, running back is a priority in this thing. But at the very least, we do have Jahmyr Gibbs on this team. And that feels great. Like, the team at 2 that went Jamar Chase, they pulled up ETN to pick 26 in the 3rd round. I'm sure they were feeling the pressure. I'm sure they might have felt a little behind by taking running back in round 3. But we got a gift with Gibbs at 103. We're going to be grateful for our blessings and move on with our good luck. But Jamie says I'm not doing any Best Ball Manias this year. I understand. Last year, I only did 9 of them. I'm not going to pretend like I'm excited to do more than like 40. I invested about $1,000 in the big board. I feel like investing about $1,000 in Best Ball Mania is a fair thing to do, especially for the sake of the channel. But not everyone is in the same situation. But in case you are looking for a little extra incentive, in case you would like some bonus funds deposited in your account, I can help you get an extra $50 in bonus funds. That's the best I can do. We are an Underdog partner, and promo code BLUNT on sign up gets you $50 in bonus entries when you sign up. New customers only get this deal. So unfortunately, if you are already on Underdog, this deal does not apply. But if you have been on the fence in years past and you are looking to hop into some tournaments, I can get you $50 in bonus funds after sign up using code BLUNT, once you play your first 5, you will get 50 bonus funds deposited in your account. You also get a 50% deposit match, so that's pretty nice. In theory, if you deposit $100 with promo code BLUNT, you will get $100 in bonus entries tacked on. 50 deposit match, and then once you enter your first puppy, play your first 5, you get an extra 50. So I'll stop saying that. We are done with the promo, but a reminder to everyone, promo code BLUNT gets you $50 in bonus entries. All right. The link is in the description, and we are on the clock. A little shaky here, but I'm gonna pass on Bucky. I'm gonna go JMO, and we're gonna go double Detroit Lion, and I'm never really gonna regret JMO in the 4th. I'm not gonna regret that. I'm sure I'm not gonna be upset with that decision. So we'll do that. David says, I've noticed Rice and Henry going earlier in the Best Ball Mania than the pre-draft contest. I do think Henry was going too late. I'm always going to be a Chiefs hater at the end of the day, and not going to say that Rashee Rice is the most exciting reach of them all. But here we are in round 5. If DJ Moore was there, I would take him. If Dave Montgomery was there, I would take him, but they are not, and I'm going to stay ahead of the pack at this position. I'm going to go Lamar Jackson, and I'm going to learn from the mistake of that puppy draft in Huhaim's lobby earlier. I mentioned it earlier. That was a team with Gibbs as well, and I felt like I fell behind a little bit with the quarterback position. I didn't like that I was stuck with 3, and today we're just going hyper elite at the 1Z. We have Bowers on this team. We have Lamar Jackson on this team, and perhaps I might fall behind in some regard, but I think I'm going to feel the luxury of having that as we move forward. Running back going to be a priority soon, but at the very least, I feel okay with what we're rocking with. Flyfish says, although I have much prefer Underdog, the platform, if you're maxing at 25 price point, DK flagship makes more sense. Larger final, but top 3 are 7-figure payouts. I have not gone over the DraftKings prize pools, but I'm sure are some more appealing options out there. There's definitely more appealing tournaments on Underdog, I'll tell you that. I'll be waiting for some I believe the Poodle is one of my favorites. I also really like the Husky. The Husky's pretty nice. $40 entry though. That one's kind of expensive. If you're capable of dropping $500, the big dog has some nice payouts, but everyone's in a different situation. I'm definitely going to be doing a bunch of puppies, a bunch of schnauzers, a bunch of, Pomeranians as well. We'll be doing everything. Those lower price points will definitely be a staple of the channel at some point, for sure. But we're going to be mixing in some Best Ball Manias as well, and this is fun. Definitely exciting. But what's up, Goofy Chicken Fantasy? If you have not done so already, check out Goofy Chicken Fantasy. Very fun live stream. I've hopped into his lives multiple times so far. Always had a blast. Really, really fun time, and deserves your subscription. So hopefully we can have Goofy Chicken on the channel soon. I will be in contact, my friend. Look for your Twitter DMs to be popping sometime soon. But this is a BBM. Thank you, Huhaims, for clarifying. The Boxer for Sweet Leaf, if I recall, definitely a good one. But good luck to you as well, Sweet Leaf. I appreciate it. But we are on the clock. Not that exciting. Some big mistakes in this range. But a player I expect to be rising. We're going to get ahead of it. We're going to go Jadarian Price. I'm learning from the mistake of that earlier draft that we spotlit at the top of this video. We're going Jadarian Price at pick 70. I think in the 70s is 100% valid. ADP 87, but I could easily see one of these two teams snipe me. And then if I don't take him here, he will 100% be getting sniped. So I'm going to go Jadarian Price as my RB2. And at this point, I got to get back in at wide receiver. Alec Pierce is not bad here. Not bad at all. Parker Washington, also legit, but I'm going to go Alec Pierce, massive contract, and let's refresh our memory real quick. Let's pull up the Colts draft board and remind you of how it went. Remember, they did not have a first-round pick because they traded for Sauce Gardner. So in round 2, they went C.J. Allen, linebacker. Round 3, they went A.J. Halsey, safety, both defensive picks. Round 4, they took a guard. Round 4, they also took a linebacker, so really no competition whatsoever. And then they took an edge in the 5th, another edge in the 6th. Running back in the 7th, Seth McGowan, may pose a problem for DJ Giddens, but not a lot of commitment, so not really worried about that. And then Deion Burks, wide receiver in round 7. A little shocking he fell to the 7th round, but don't view him as competition, even if he was like a 5th rounder, something I assumed might have happened. I viewed him a little more valuable than round 7 entering the pre-draft process myself, but what do I know? I'm just a YouTube streamer. Deion Burks, the only new competition in Indy, and I don't think they have much cap space either. The Colts, strike that. They have $24.6 million in cap space. My bad. So there's still a potential landing spot for someone like Deebo Samuel or perhaps Juwan Jennings. I think Juwan Jennings would be an interesting fit there. But who knows? Maybe they will spend that money elsewhere. At the very least, they spent a shit ton on Alec Pierce. And for me to take him in the 7th round, I'm comfortable with that, given I only had Nico, JMO, and now Alec Pierce. I also have some divisional correlation with the Colts in Houston, so that's a nice little cherry on top. I did not think about that when I took him, but nice little extra bonus. We'll see if that matters. But if anything, we want to avoid a Colts-Texans matchup in Week 17. Alec Pierce would be dog shit against Houston. If anything, that's not good. Not a good matchup to be chasing. But Jamie coming in. I like the maxing out the little Dalmatian because I'm a cheap bastard. That's fair. And 100% agree, Goofy Chicken is awesome. Subscribe to Goofy Chicken. Subscribe to Hartman as well. He says just max the big dog. It's only 32,000. Exactly. Much easier to do. Okay, what are we looking at here? I think Chris Godwin's interesting. Gonna avoid tight end, and I'll go Godwin. Need some receivers sooner or later, and I'll go Chris Godwin. But yeah, fuck yeah, Goofy Chicken. Let's definitely do it. This is first year for Boxer. I'm unfamiliar with what the Boxer payout is, but in case you like Simon and Garfunkel, one of my favorite songs of theirs is The Boxer, and a fantastic song. All right, what are we looking at? A little tricky, but I'm gonna go Jared Goff, and we're just gonna call it done at quarterback. I'm not quite sure how I want to be strategizing the quarterback position as of this moment, but I know that if I take an elite quarterback investment in Lamar Jackson, we're going to have an advantage inherently with just his spike week potential alone. And then it's also a position that I feel like I've addressed enough where I only want one backup. I don't think I want a third when I take Lamar Jackson. So it's more likely that in the 18th round draft, you only want 2 quarterbacks on this team. Maybe you want 3, but I'm not fully convinced that that's how I want to be addressing every single lobby. And then I did notice that like some of these teams are getting a little hungry, a little spend happy at quarterback. Like the team with Josh Allen also took Stafford. The team with Lawrence also took Herbert. And then Dak Prescott, that drafter also has Bo Nix. So we're getting a little bit committed to the quarterback position early, but at least I'm done. I'm going to avoid tight end for a while. And so for the majority of this draft, it's just what value do I like the most at running back versus wide receiver. And then if I get a steal at tight end, I'll probably do that. But in general, you really need to give me a good value in order to take a tight end. in this lobby moving forward. So we'll see what happens, but a lot of running backs, a lot of receivers in my future. I've rocking a 2-2-4-1 so far, and a reminder on the roster. We got Gibbs and Jadarian Price at running back, Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff at quarterback. Our tight end is Bowers, and then our receiver room has Nico Collins, Jamison Williams, Alec Pierce, and Chris Godwin. We are rocking with a double Detroit stack, Gibbs and JMO, and then Lamar Jackson unstacked at the moment, but that's perfectly fine. Not going to be upset with that situation. But Laporta at 100. Maybe if he fell to me at 118, I would take him, but given I had Bowers, I was not in the market for Laporta. Could have overcommitted to Detroit, but not necessary. Not necessary. Wandale at 114 is a smash. Even with Carnell Tate, I still believe it's a great, fair price. However, interesting to say JCM going up above Rashad White. That's very interesting in the ADP. I'll tell you right now, I think that's wrong. But Kenny Gainwell gets fucking sniped. That sucks. That sucks. Bummer there. I think I'm going to go Matthew Golden. I still believe in the breakout potential for Matthew Golden, and I'm probably not going to regret addressing receiver before a bit of a fall off. Some of the receiver values moving forward are not that exciting. So we're going to go Matthew Golden at 118. And now my receiver room is probably secure for a little bit. My running back room with Gibbs, you can never feel too bad. But with only two, would have loved to have Gainwell there instead of Matthew Golden. C-Rod goes at 121. And then what is Jamma going to do? Goes Jordan Mason. And then I don't really give a fuck what this JCM price is. It's the first day of the contest. Y'all can believe in Bill all you want, but give me Rashad White over Bill. 100%. I would much rather take Rashad White. I don't love the massive committee they have there, but I'll take Rashad over JCM. Much better pass protector, college chemistry. Maybe I'm forgetting something. I know they drafted Katron there, but I don't think that's enough draft capital to really worry about. Yeah, Katron in the 6th round. They went linebacker in round 1 with Sonny Styles. They took Antonio Williams in round 3. He's a really good value right now. They went edge in the 5th. And as Flyfish is saying, Katron is lurking, but I think Rashad will be on the field. I don't believe that Rashad will be forced off the field. I think he took a little discount in order to play with one of his good friends in Jaden Daniels. And ultimately, I believe he will occupy that Austin Eckler role. And I think he's shown enough to where I believe he will get the most volume among all Commanders running backs. But it is a very heavy committee. I don't love how many running backs they have in totality. There's a lot of names there. And at the very least, Katron is good enough to compete with JCM at the least. I'm more worried about JCM than I am Rashad White. But Hartman says that's 1 round higher than JCM. Indeed it is. Indeed it is, Hartman. Am I going to take any shots on Katron? I might mix him in, but I'm not going to force it. I want to see where his ADP kind of settles. He's interesting, but ultimately my main target in Washington's backfield is going to be Rashad White. But Ever in Flux says Tony Pollard at 111 is a war crime. I will say this. I considered Tony Pollard instead of Jared Goff at pick 99. I considered it, but I ultimately did not do it. I wanted to see where Tony Pollard would go if I didn't force anything. But Flyfish believes all of the Commanders running backs are good clicks at cost, in my opinion. If there's one I probably don't like, it would be JCM. His ADP in this is 111 at the moment. I want Rashad over JCM. This is not that exciting. But Omar Cooper's still here. Running back is kind of gross. I'll take Juwan Jennings instead of Omar Cooper Jr. Don't give a shit. I'm reaching a little bit. Really don't care at all. And then, of course, the Jets have to, like, screw over all of my excitement on Kenyon Sadiq and Omar Cooper Jr. Of course, the Jets got a jet. Fuck them. But if I don't address running back with some, like, legitimacy, I think I might be regretting it soon. It's either Tyjae or Mark Andrews, and fuck it. I'll if I regret it, I regret it. But now I'm just done at tight end. I wanted a good value, but Andrews is a big winner of the draft, if you ask me. I was very worried about a Kenyon Sadiq to the Ravens, or an Eli Stowers even could be a problem. But the Ravens did draft a tight end. It was very, very late in the draft, though. Let's pull up their draft picks. They went with a guard in the first. That's great for Derrick Henry. They took an edge in the second. Their defensive head coach, I'm sure, was happy about that. Jesse Minter, going to use him well. Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt double-tapped receiver in round 3. Surratt was in the 4th, my bad. But back-to-back receivers. I prefer Surratt, but more draft capital invested in Jacoby Lane. Interesting depth pieces. I might try to stack one of them in the final round. But then a tight end in the 4th, Matthew Hibner. Not someone that was really on my radar. And 4th round tight ends, it's rare that they like really, really crush. So let's pull up some stats on Hibner. But at the moment, it's really just David Njoku, the only name that could crater Mark Andrews' value right now. 6'4", 251, ran a 4.57, so that's really fast for the position. The number 5 athlete, according to Player Profiler. And then in college, he got injured in his sophomore season, played at Michigan. That's interesting. And then after Jim Harbaugh left, he transferred to SMU, and back-to-back seasons with 4 touchdowns, 24 catches for 368 his junior year. And then last year, 31 catches for 436. Not terrible, but not like the most impressive thing I've ever seen. Round 4 draft capital, not enough to scare me. So I think the only way Andrews doesn't quite deliver on this type of value is if some of those rookie receivers really deliver, or if David Njoku comes in and fucks everything up. But I believe we are in solid shape from a floor standpoint, stacking up Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews in the 13th round. I think this is a fair click. So maybe I should have taken running back, but I think we'll get a solid option here at 166, 171, and I'm not gonna regret it. Ultimately, I think I made the right choice. Get the stack, stay balanced. And the guy I almost reached on looks like he might be there. Tyjae might be here right now, and that'd be great. But I am also not convinced that Tyjae is the best click. Like, there's a little deception, honestly, with this with this queue on Tyjae, just a little bit. But at the end of the day, Tyjae did not completely avoid disaster in the draft. You know who did? Brian Robinson. I'm going to go Brian Robinson at 166. Jamma right behind me only has 3 running backs as well. And I'm remembering that Tyjae also now has to compete with Nick Singleton. Nick Singleton, a guy I really liked, especially the last couple weeks after some news that he was getting healthy came in. And Tyjae might still be here for me at 171. So let's pause for just a second, go with the more convincing higher floor option, Brian Robinson. And then Tyjae is still there. Damn. Thing is, Tank Bigsby's also here, and I'm not gonna regret Tank Bigsby at 171. So you know what? I talked myself out of Tyjae Spears. we mentioned Pollard, at least according to Ever in Flux, is a war crime. But that backfield is very interesting. That backfield, I'm not convinced I understand fully. I don't think I've thought it through entirely, because the Nick Singleton edition throws a weird wrench into the system. And at least they avoided Jeremiah Love, but I'm not totally convinced that Nick Singleton is not going to be a big problem for the other ones. And the team at 8 does believe in Nick Singleton. He goes Singleton over Tajay. That's very interesting. Love to see that. But thank you, Ever in Flux, for the compliment. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm happy with this haircut as well. It's coming in nicely. But Jacoby Lane's gunning for Bateman's job. That should be fun. Yeah, Bateman, I think, has always been a kind of a weird click. Devontae Walker, still kind of interesting. And then Surratt is someone I like a lot. But he fell to the 4th. So less draft capital. But Hartman, teams were taking tight ends in the 2nd round that weren't on my radar. Yeah, some interesting landing spots at tight end. Like the Jets taking Sadiq was kind of interesting. Didn't expect that. And then Stowers went to... I'm forgetting where Stowers went. Round 2, we saw Stowers go to the Eagles. So not only has to compete with Goddard, but also Grant Calcaterra. That'll be interesting. And then the Jags taking tight end. The Texans going tight end. The Rams going tight end was fucking crazy. That one wouldn't expect. And then Sam Roush going to Chicago is not good. Yeah, the tight ends I kind of liked for depth. Claire, Delp, Roush. Those ones did not quite have good landing spots. So that one's interesting. But, all right. We're back on the clock. I think it's receiver here. And I still like Jeremy Bernard a lot. Historically, although they missed on Roman Wilson, the Steelers do not miss on round 2 wide receiver draft picks. So I'll go Jeremy Bernard just because I still think it's the correct decision. Took it like crazy pre-draft. We'll take it again. And it's not a position I'm like really in need for like elite depth. So we'll see about that. But I could go running back, but instead, I think I'm going to go Antonio Williams. Let's get another rookie in here. The receiver room is weird, but not bad. And that Commanders wide receiver room is really, really interesting. So Antonio Williams, pick 195. I've seen him go undrafted a lot, but who the fuck knows? We're in Best Ball Mania, and I think it's a valid click. So at the moment, I'm not totally up to speed on how I want to be adjusting my last 2-round strategy. But I do know receiver is a position I need. And with my 8th and 7th being rookies, I think we can move on with volume and confidence that this room is good enough to compete. My full receiver room has Nico Collins, Jameson Williams, Alec Pierce, Chris Godwin, Matthew Golden, Jawan Jennings, Jeremy Bernard, and Antonio Williams. I like the upside as paired with the floor. I love the floor of Godwin at pick 94. Alec Pierce also high volume. JMO a little boom bust, but elite upside. Nico a true top 10 play every week. And then Jawan still has some mystery box upside for a good landing spot. And then Golden, I think, could be one of those true smashes. And then we have 2 rookies that I like a lot, with Bernard in Pittsburgh and Antonio Williams in Washington. Fun team so far. We shout out GAB, shout out Young Moolah, my man. Thank you for hopping in. And I took a step with this draft strategy. Young Moolah coining the phrase, the step strategy, a stud at every position. We took his approach to heart on this one, and we started with Gibbs, Bowers, Nico, and JMO, and then Lamar Jackson in the 5th. We got a stud at every position for our man, Young Moolah, GAB for life. Subscribe to Young Moolah at GAB for life if you have not done so already. He was on the channel back in, I believe it was late March. So if you want to hit the replay on that, check it out. But he goes live as well, and give him a subscription as well. Pepper Tony's finally in here. Fimst, thank you for hopping in, my man. And Young Moolah says, most of these rookie tight ends look like decent dynasty picks, but highly unlikely to have impact year one. I would agree. The rookie tight end market looks gross, in my opinion. I'm not excited, but Pepper Tony says, all Ravens wide receivers worth a smattering of clicks on Lamar teams, including Bustman still. Yeah, the thing about Lamar this year, I think he's going to be throwing a lot, and I think it's not insane to, like, believe he can throw for 40 touchdowns once again. He did it 2 years ago. If he stays healthy, I think Lamar is a good stacking option, and I think that is a tempting direction to go in with this one, but ultimately I think I need a running back a little bit more excited. Just a little bit. Damn, but Rodgers is speaking to me. Not gonna lie, Rodgers is very, very tempting, and we do have Jeremy Bernard. I take Rodgers. Yeah, I do take the third quarterback. What happened there? That was weird. Yeah, just gonna push the 5 running back build. 2 of my favorite handcuffs in Brian Robinson, Tank Bigsby. We have Rashad White, who I believe is the most valuable commander. We got Jadarian Price, and then Gibbs just anchoring everything. I think is okay, but maybe Rodgers was not correct there. But I think Rodgers 100% should be drafted, and to have a third quarterback, I think, is a luxury, but not one I'm going to regret. So today we do it, and this is the way I'll probably be going about it. I'll be taking my third in one of those last 2 rounds with one of the names I think is worth it. But Rodgers, Tua, Shador, I think are valuable starters going this late. But Pepper Tony says Rams did meth before their draft. At least Sean McVay didn't look too happy about it. Really, really interesting turn of events for the LA Rams. Like, weird draft. They said F them picks, basically. Weird picks, if you ask me. But Flyfish says, what a year to declare as a mediocre tight end. Sheesh. Yeah, this is odd, but I'm glad I didn't take too many rookie tight ends in the pre-draft contest. They all feel very uninspiring at this point, but Jags took a guy I've never heard of. Yeah, I had no idea who that was. Not on my radar at all for a second-round draft pick. That was very interesting. Ever in Flux says, moral of the story, never draft a Rams tight end unless he's 2025 Colby Parkinson. I still think you can take a shot on Terrence Ferguson or Parkinson, but only if you, like, really punted the position. But they really feel like bad clicks. They're at least running a shit ton of 12 personnel. If not 13 personnel. They might have 3 tight ends on the field almost every fucking play. Rams are going to be very unique this year. Interesting vibes. But Stimmy Check says, who should I keep, Rice in round 4 or DJ Moore in round 13? I would keep DJ Moore in round 13. Holy shit. That's a fucking steal. Yeah. Give me DJ Moore in round 13. Hell yeah. But King of QC, always a pleasure to draft with you, champ. Thank you, my friend. Let's take a look at his team. He was drafted out of the 106, and then we'll do some team reviews for y'all watching with me. But looks like we have 45 viewers, 24 likes. If we hit 30 likes, I will make the second draft another Best Ball Mania. If we can hit 30 likes, so I need 6 of y'all to hit the like button, we will do a second Best Ball Mania. And then if we hit the like goal of 42, I will also take a rip from the bong. And if you're in that lobby with me, it'll probably lead to good EV. So the sooner you get to 42 likes, we will hit the bong. But if we hit to 30, we will hop into a Best Ball Mania for our second draft of the evening. But let's take a look at King QC. Always a pleasure as well, my friend. He goes to the 3-5-8-2 as well. Also, 3 quarterback structure. Goes Purdy, Sam Darnold, and Daniel Jones. So we're looking for some Niners, Seahawks, and Colts stacks. And he has Chase Brown, Jeremiah Love, Cam Scattaboo, Blake Corum, James Conner. So not a fan of Tyler Algier at all. That's interesting. Scattaboo at pick 54 feels like a smash right now. Chase Brown at 19 should be good. Good luck with that. And then Blake Corum at 102, not bad at all. I am not quite sure
how I feel about Jeremiah Love, and then especially getting the double Arizona commitment. That's interesting. That's a little unique. So running back, early picks, but also like a little shaky. I love the Scadaboo pick though. That feels great. And then Blake Corum also could be super valuable. But wide receiver room has JSN, Evans is stacked up, Parker Washington, Josh Downs is stacked up, Denzel Boston, Deebo Samuel, Chris Brazzell, Cooper Kupp, not bad at all. Not bad. And you do have a double Seahawks stack with JSN and Cooper Kupp. So I like the stacks. Tyler Warren, AJ Barner, also good stacking options. Very solid team. The running back room, a little risky for my liking, but given you kind of waited on quarterback to take Brock Purdy in the 8th round, I think it all came out really, really nicely. Purdy, Darnold, Daniel Jones, with this wide receiver and tight end room feels good. The running back room, interesting, but not bad. I hope Denzel Boston works out. In all honesty, I'm gonna tell you this. I do not like the Denzel Boston click at all. Actually, the more I think about it, I do not like Denzel Boston whatsoever. 150 should be falling much further because there's also Casey Concepcion, Jerry Jeudy, Harold Fannin. The Browns really, really said fuck you to anyone excited about rookie wide receiver. Like the Browns and the Jets really fucked up a lot of fantasy hype on the rookies this year. So that was a bummer. Wasn't too happy about that. But Denzel Boston in Cleveland, not a click I like. I'll say that. Let's go through some other teams with us. We had Super Beast in here. Keith was drafting. Keith, the big shooter, is interested to hear the critique. Also very interested to hear what your thoughts on taking the best click on the board in lieu of hunting stacks in general. Let's take a look at your roster and then we'll address your second question as well. But goes with 3-5-8-2, so also same structure as me. Goes Jalen Hurts, Malik Willis, and Shedeur Sanders. So that final round Shedeur click, not bad. Hurts and Malik Willis, 2 running quarterbacks. So we'll see about the stacks in Philly, Miami, and Cleveland. But James Cook, Javonte, Jalen Warren, J.K. Dobbins, and Jonah Coleman. Pretty solid value on Jalen Warren. But did you take him over Rico Dowdle? That's my question. You did not. Very fair. Very fair. Dobbins at 101. Also probably falling because Jonah Coleman was drafted there. So you took both of them. Also, interesting strategy. Both of y'all handcuffed a rookie with a veteran, an injury-prone veteran. Very interesting. Not too shabby. James Cook, Javonte feels pretty good. And then committing to Denver's backfield, solid depth. But wide receiver Drake London, Luther Burden, Terry McLaurin, Marvin Harrison, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Naylor, Kayshon Boutte, Elijah Surratt. So a little questionable with some of the receiver clicks, but the Terry in the 5th round feels great. Burden should be awesome. London should be good. Harrison, we'll see. I do kind of feel like all of the Cardinals are just wrong at the moment. I feel like every single Cardinal should be falling. And then I'm still not in on Jaden Higgins at the moment. Not my most exciting click, to be honest, but fair value, I suppose. And then some of the depth is not bad at all. Surratt, you do take Surratt at 197. That's interesting. You have Likely and Okonkwo on this team. That's pretty legit. Fun team. I think a good structure. Personally, I don't love the Higgins, Harrison, or Naylor clicks, like particularly. At the moment, Naylor's not bad, but I feel like they're going to be doing something in free agency still. I feel like they're going to bring in a veteran wideout before free agency's over. So Naylor still a little bit tricky for me, but I think it's solid. You do not have anyone stacked up, though, with Hurts or Malik Willis. So that's where I guess the second part of your question does come into play. I do think I would like this team a little bit better with a stack. Like, did you pass on Goddard? Where did Goddard go in this one? Yeah, you took Higgins over Goddard. I would have taken Goddard 100% over Jaden Higgins there. Personally, I think Higgins is not worth an 11th round click. I think Goddard is potentially like 2 rounds too cheap. And if I have Hurts, personally, I am 100% stacking him with Goddard. You did not have a tight end at that point yet, so I think structurally it would have made sense. I like the investment at receiver so far. So, yeah, just my personal ranks, I would have liked you to go take Goddard there over Isaiah Likely. I think the stacks are one of the statistically more likely ways of increasing your ceiling, and especially with all of the payouts in this contest being like so top heavy, even in week 17, I want that stack. If Hurts goes nuclear, throwing like 3 touchdowns to Dallas Goedert that week, and that's the name you need, I would want that stack on my roster. So yes, I do think it would have been valuable. And generally, I am pro stack. I've seen enough data to suggest that it does help you, especially in a wide scale contest like this. You have to maximize upside. I would have liked to see the stack myself, but that's kind of the main criticism. Otherwise, I think it's all very legit. Some of the names, though, in the later rounds, I'm not totally in love with, like Coleman, Naylor, and then Surratt and Sanders is also like not quite sure how I feel about that at the moment. But pretty solid team. I don't know if you should have pulled up James Cook to 105, though. That's probably like the big question mark of like, what are you doing? Because like in round 1, generally speaking, I don't want to be like overexposing myself to one player. Like if you're always going to be taking James Cook this high, then I sure hope Cook doesn't get hurt, because even if he doesn't, it could still be the wrong click in the first round. Like Cook at 105 is bold. I would not be doing that too often, but it is unique. It is different, and maybe it is the combo you need. So good luck, Super Beast. I wish you luck. And we were also drafting with, I think Libra might be watching, but Libra didn't mention anything. So if Libra wants a review, let me know. But I'm going to do David's team, and then we will remind you my team, and then draft our second draft of the evening. And it looks like we only need one more like, and that will be a Best Ball Mania team. So hit that like button if you want to see a second BBM 7 entry. If not, we're doing a puppy. But Dave has a 3.663, so hyper fragile at receiver. Let's see how we like it. Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, and Jacoby Brissett. So a Commanders, Tampa Bay, Arizona stack is what we're looking for. He does have Igbuka. He does have Michael Wilson. And he does have Tyler Algier. But there are no Commanders on this roster. Running back is interesting. Has Hampton, Kyron Williams, Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier, Tyjae Spears, and Kimani Vidal. So pretty strong running back room, but the Tyler Algier price I think could still be in flux. I'm not quite sure what to make of it at the moment. So right now it's just kind of a name I'm trying to avoid. I think he could fall a little bit further, to be honest with you. I think he could keep falling. I'm not convinced that's where he's going to settle. But Tyjae could also keep falling. Maybe Nick Singleton is indeed the better click. We'll see about that. And then Kimani Vidal, I don't think is fully necessary, but a fairly justified handcuff with Hampton. Not the worst decision you could be making. However, at wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra, Egbuka, Brian Thomas, Michael Wilson, Quentin Johnson, and Malik Washington. Yeah, 100%. One of these running backs, I think, should be a receiver, whether it's Tyjae or Kimani Vidal. I think the points being invested at receiver is much more critical. I typically don't like to exit one of these drafts with less than 7 wideouts. You have to start 3 every week, and while you could be correct about all the names you have, I think you're counting a little too much on Malik Washington at the end of the day. So I think you needed a 7th for sure. The 3rd tight end might also be a luxury that you couldn't afford, whether it's Schultz or Kimani Vidal or Tyjae Spears. Swap out one of those for receiver, and I think you are in a better spot. I'd feel better about the team with a little more volume at receiver, because I'm not convinced that Michael Wilson is correct. While I do still love Amon-Ra, Egbuka, Brian Thomas, and QJ at cost, I think a 7th would really help you, because Malik Washington does not guarantee you anything. Malik Washington also has very low upside in Miami. Crowded offense that's not going to throw many touchdowns, but you do have at least have him. Oh no, he's not stacked up. I thought you had Malik Willis. That was a different team. So, yeah, not in love with the 6 receiver build. I would have liked a 7th wide receiver, and I think I would have moved off of Kimani or Dalton Schultz if it was me. So, good luck. You did not have Jaden Daniels stacked up, but you do have Baker and Jacoby stacked up at the very least. So, some solid competition in this lobby. Let's take a look at my team. I did not get the word from Libra if they're in here. So this is my team, and then we will move on to our second draft of the day. And I think we hit 30. I believe that is the case. All right. I took Lamar Jackson in the 5th. Jared Goff is double stacked. I also took Aaron Rodgers in the final round because I just could not pass on the value. I think it is worth it in round 20. But Gibbs, Jadarian Price, Rashad White, Brian Robinson, and Tank Bigsby. I'm happy to commit to Jadarian Price when I have the luxury of Gibbs. And then Rashad, I think, is the most valuable commander. And then my 2 favorite handcuffs you can draft late are B-Rob in Atlanta and Tank Bigsby in Philadelphia. So I'm happy with that. I'm pretty good. And then at wide receiver, we have Nico Collins, Jamison Williams, Alec Pierce, Chris Godwin, Matthew Golden, Juwan Jennings, Jeremy Bernard, and Antonio Williams. I love the upside I have in this room. Like, true elite ceiling with a lot of these names. Like, I really like the way that this pairs together, because although some of these names have kind of a low floor, like I still see a shit ton of volume coming in, and I feel pretty confident in them all getting over the hump. So I'm excited about this wide receiver room. I like it a lot. The swings with the rookies I think are very, very viable, and overall the veterans I have really high breakout potential. I'm excited about that. And then tight end is fantastic. We have the elite and Brock Bowers, handcuff, I'm saying not a handcuff, a stack with Mark Andrews. And maybe I should have taken a Ravens rookie wide receiver, but I feel pretty good about Antonio Williams as well. And I just took him because he was top of mind. So I like this team. The running back room, a little bit risky, but anytime you have Gibbs, it feels great. Every other position feels really, really nice. I am very happy with this team. I'm pretty confident that we can do some damage with this one. And anytime you have Gibbs, a running back room like this is going to work. So I like it. I like it a lot. Let me know what you think. I am happy with this one. But looks like we did hit 30. So we will be hopping into another Best Ball Mania 7. And I'll give y'all just a moment. I'm going to take a rip from the pipe. And after I have a plume of smoke on the other side of the drop, we will hop in to Best Ball Mania. So get it ready if you're trying to hop in. But if you also have anything you'd like to smoke with me, rip it if you got it. Go for it. Now's the time. All right, we killed the bowl. We are hopping in. No countdown this time. Get in while you can. There are 7 spots remaining, and it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully, we go a little bit different, but I was really, really happy with that team. And for a day 1 contest entry, that one felt really, really nice. Shout out Young Moolah, inspiring us to go with the step, stud at every position strategy. It used to be called the rainbow strategy, but that's kind of gay. Let's go with the step strategy. Much more appealing. All right, let me get back to the chat. I feel like I've neglected the chat. My bad. Hartman, Everyone Flux says, made a big board team with only Likely and Theo Johnson as my tight ends. Needless to say, I will cite that draft as a donation on my taxes. That's not the end of the world. At least you have the more valuable Giants tight end every week. You're not getting a 0 other than the bye, but not that exciting. Pepper Tony says the Browns continued to exist and we were all worse off for it. Yeah, very well said, Pepper Tony. Very, very accurate. Browns just shitting on everyone, but GAB, Young Moolah loves him some Browns this year. Surprise offense of the year. In all honesty, the way they dressed the draft, I'm a little excited about Shadur Sanders. they got a lot of weapons there. Like Shador actually got a lot of help with Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston. We know about Judy as well as Harold Fannin. There's also Isaiah Bond there. Like, you know, Brown's offense in garbage time potentially could be very interesting, but Shador at least has a lot of weapons to throw to. But speaking of Young Moolah, GAB for Life is with us right at pick 11, right in front of us, so might be getting sniped quite often. But then I also see Libra in here again. Libra, if you're watching, let me know. Like, what Libra, please drop a comment if you are indeed watching. But I also see Pac Fanto in here at 5. Good to see you, my man. We also have Ragnar in here at the 108. Hopefully he is watching. But yeah, Young Moolah, Ragnar, Pac Fanto, and probably Libra, I think, are in this lobby with me. If I didn't recognize you, apologies. Maybe you've never let me know in the past. But if you are drafting with us, let us know. And the 101 in this one went Puka Nakua. Damn. Don't see that every day. What a day to be drafting at the 103. Holy shit. Back-to-back drafts where Gibbs is there at the 103. Damn. Wish I got the 103 again, but we'll go 112. It's not the end of the world, but Diggs to Vegas is my call. That's not a bad bet. I could see that for sure. Keith says, was going to take Bell and thought about Goddard. I think Goddard would have been definitely not a bad click. When you have Hurts, I don't think Goddard is a bad click at all, especially if you believe that A.J. Brown is still getting traded. You know, the Mekhi Lemon click would be a problem for Goddard if A.J. Brown's still there. But the way the cap works, we got to wait until June 1st, and then A.J. Brown will be on the move. The Mekhi Lemon drafting only secures that as a very likely outcome. I expect A.J. Brown to be on the move. Goddard will be phenomenal. So I think that was a good decision for anyone with Hurts in general to be making in round 12 or 11. I think it's round 11. But yeah, around 125, 130. Goddard already is mispriced, should be going higher. With Hurts, I think he's a very, very good click. But Angus says, I hope Debo to the Chargers happens and we just limit his snaps. Angus, a fellow Charger fan, my best friend. I would like that as well. I think that'd be very fun. ADP says James Cook. I don't hate that. Don't hate it. But for good measure, we're going to be taking Hampton in the first round on this one. And then taking the Bills running back 1 never feels like the wrong choice. Maybe Saquon is a better choice. I'm actually coming around on Saquon quite a bit last few days, the more I've been thinking about it. But I will take a slight fall on James Cook. He's fine. We just saw James Cook go at the 105 in the last draft. So a Hampton James Cook start, I'm never going to be upset about. But Keith says tie for the critique and for fielding those questions. In regard to the Ty Simpson, the Ty Simpson click was a little shocking. Not gonna lie, a little bit surprising there. But looks like we are coming up soon on our bong rip. A reminder: 42 likes, and we're taking a rip from the bong. But David felt weakest at receiver for that draft. Yeah, you only took 6, my man. I don't think 6 is cutting it when the 6th is Malik Willis. If the 6th receiver is like, I don't know, someone like Jaden Reed, then yeah, by all means, I think you're okay. But when the 6th is Malik Willis, that's kind of tricky. But Ever in Flux, I'm so glad I had one share of Algier before the draft. I know I didn't have a ton of him either. I was starting to take him a little bit, but I'm so fucking glad that after free agency, I was hammering Rico Dowdle instead of Tyler Algier. Like, I think the only time I reached on Algier, I mean, it's just the truth. It was when PPR Tyler was on the draft. In general, I was never really pulling up Algier. I was pulling up Rico like crazy, though. I'm so glad I went towards Rico more than Algier post free agency. But Flyfish says Algier is used to getting cucked by top 10 draft picks. Yeah, he's used to it. If anyone is ready to do it, knows how to handle it with grace, it is definitely Tyler Algier. So at least he's getting paid $8 million this year, or what is it, 6.5? Yeah, I think it's 6.5. Much bigger pay raise for what he was doing behind Bijan. But I still think he can offer some value on the goal line. I still think he can contribute, but really not good because Arizona's offense might suck in the first place. But Ever in Flux was the number 2 like. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you in here. But Mr. Mufasa, at one point we had 52 watching. I missed that. That's definitely on the higher side for your boy here. So appreciate everyone who's hit the like. If you want to see that rip from the bong, we are 8 likes away, and I think we can hit it. I think at the very least, it might come later in the draft, but perhaps on the sign-off, I think we can hit it. But shout out Best Ball on Call. Anthony's in here with us, and give him a subscription as well. Hope to see you going live soon, my man. And if you are still interested, I'm happy to hop on to the live stream as well. Anthony was on our channel in March as well. If you're interested, check out the replay on that. We had some fun teams as well there. And Sharp Drafter, Best Ball on Call. What are we looking at the turn? T. Higgins is still here. I need some receiver value, so I'll take T. Higgins in the 4th. That's for sure. And then I don't think we're going to regret Ladidi McConkey. So I'll take Ladd and then T. Higgins in the 4th. Let's go. We got our double Chargers. We got the Bills RB1 and then the Bengals wide receiver 2, who has top 5 upside any given week. I'm so far, I can't see reasons not to be drafting these players. So I may not be clicking the right names, but I don't think I'm making mistakes. Like maybe they're just not the names you need. You know what I mean? But I don't think I'm making mistakes, structurally speaking, out of the 12 slot through 4 rounds. But Ragnar, are you still reaching for Omar now that he's a Jet? 100% I am not. I'm going to let him fall, let the market decide what his new ADP will be. But I am not going to be someone reaching on a Jet ever. I would like to see Breece Hall fall down. I would like to see Garrett Wilson a little bit later in the 4th now. I'm not excited to take Sadiq. Cooper, not that exciting either. And then I was never taking A.D. Mitchell in the first place. But I will say this. Geno Smith is kind of interesting. Geno Smith in garbage time might be chucking it for like 350 on several occasions. I am warming up a little bit to Geno Smith. I will say that. But I am so happy I did not draft like any Mason Taylor. I don't think I have more than like 3 shares of Mason Taylor in almost 200 drafts. So that was a great fade by yours truly. I hope you listened to me. In general, we got to fade Jets in general. But waiting for the schedule to release to do my BBMs. But I'm info gathering until then. If the values weren't going to be so strong at this point in the contest, I would agree. I would be probably waiting on some BBMs as well. I'm not going to draft a single eliminator until I get the schedule. I'll tell you that. No fucking chance I'm drafting in the eliminator before the schedule drops. But in BBM, on day 1, I'm willing to do it because some of these ADPs are just so incorrect. And they're never going to be the same, even just a couple weeks from now, let alone March 15th. I guess that's like 3 weeks from now, when the schedule drops. It usually drops around the 15th of May, which is very soon. But TY says equals thank you. My bad. Yes, this makes way more sense. You're welcome. My bad. I deserve to be roasted for that. I deserve to be roasted. Sometimes I just don't like pivot to like thinking about acronyms. Sometimes I don't. Wow, Jadarian Price at 56. Ragnar takes him early. Love that I took him at 70 and 74 earlier today. But Algier's going to be running into his 40s with how little shred he has. Yeah, he might be the next Frank Gore. Algier should have some very good longevity when you really think about that. But do I think Ladd breaks 100 targets? I do. I think Ladd survived the draft pretty well. I really like Ladd. And just like every Charger in general at this point in time. Round 4, Ladd McConkey is fair. He's definitely not falling to me at pick 60. So I'll go Ladd McConkey where I took him. And then here, I kind of just want to stay balanced. I think Swift is a very fair click at this price. I'm not going to be regretting Swift at the 5-6 turn. And then the Packers didn't really address wide receiver, right? They went corner. Yeah, they didn't draft for the first time ever. They did not draft a receiver. Give me Christian Watson with a little more confidence now. Yeah, I'll do that. I feel like all 3 Packers receivers are very strong clicks right now. I feel really good about Jaden Reed at cost. I think Matthew Golden is a very good bet. And then Christian Watson round 6 here, especially at the bookend, having to wait such a long time to get him to come back. Yeah, give me the strong value, high spike week potential with Christian Watson. So this feels pretty balanced, pretty safe. So far I haven't done anything out of the ordinary. Usually at the bookend I justify getting strange, but in all honesty, some good values were there, so didn't feel the need to be reaching too much. I sure hope I get the combo I am hoping for, though, at the next turn. There's some players I'm really hopeful are still there for me at the next one. But interesting to see in this lobby, we see the team at 1 doing weird shit, goes Allen at the 2-3 turn, then takes Lamar at the 4-5 after drafting Puka 101. Very weird team at 101. But then they did take Travion at 49. I like that click a lot. And then Caleb Williams is the quarterback 3 in this lobby. Goes to the team with Roma Dunze in round 6. He was not going to make it back at 82, so I guess that's fair. But over Jaden Daniels, over Jalen Hurts, that's interesting. I did pass on Joe Burrow. Perhaps I made a mistake. Perhaps I should have just taken Burrow with T. Higgins. But Geno Smith is an NFL average quarterback, and people treat him less than that for some reason. Here's the thing, like, he's just not throwing enough touchdowns for me to be excited. He's gonna give you some big spike weeks in terms of yardage. I think if you play in a format that gives you a bonus for 300 yards, then Geno's a little more exciting, but it's still just touchdown production. And as much as, like, I would like to say he has job security, the Jets are ultimately tanking for a quarterback next year, just like Justin Fields. There is also a world where he gets benched week 10 because they're like 1-8. You know, like if they're 1-8 and they go on bye, they might just say, fuck it, we're never bringing Geno back on the field. Like, I don't think he has much job security. He's pretty mid, but with all the weapons, there is a little bit more reason for optimism. I will give him that. But exactly, there's got to be at least one, right? Got to stay on brand, that's for sure. But Key says I have a minimum of 20 drafts where I got Geno between pick 200 and 240 in those pre-drafts. I took Geno like maybe 4 times or less. I think I took Geno literally like 2 or 3 times. And every time I did it, it was like I wasn't happy about it. I think I had a guest on at least half of those clicks. Geno is not a player I'm going to be endorsing. I took him a shit ton last year. Boy, did I regret that. I had him way too much last year. But our guy is available here. We get Justin Herbert available, and I will not be passing on that. Hampton and Ladd McConkey on this one. Definitely give me a Justin Herbert. And then the receiver market's getting kind of interesting, kind of weird. But this is also just a tough spot in the draft, in all honesty. So I think there's a lot of options I like. But feel confident I can get a good value at tight end. And I'm going to address receiver again. That position was moving off the board quickly so far. And with a go-to option usually in this range that is now taken, Addison is a name I was drafting a lot at the 7-8 turn. No longer available now. I'll go Jaden Reed. He's probably going to go around pick like 95, 99, 100. He's not going to go at 108. So I could have gone with Tucker Kraft there, but instead I go Jaden Reed. And for the first time in a very long time, the Packers did not draft a receiver. So who they got on the roster is who they're committed to, and I'm definitely advertising it, but I am in the market for a Jordan Love click at 108, 109, but definitely not going to pass on Justin Herbert at 84 when I have Ladd McConkey and Omarion Hampton. Who knows what quarterback makes it back to me, but Herbert in this range I think is very, very legit. Could finish top 5, and we got him double stacked. So very, very legitimate decision with Herbert. But Ragnar trying some new rankings. Not sure I like them, but we'll see. Yeah, this is an interesting time where you're like, I'm not convinced I want to be drafting purely off of my personal rankings at this point in time yet. I believe this early into the contest, I want to let the market kind of decide what the prices are going to be, and I kind of want to be trying to get good fallers compared to what I thought were good clicks in the pre-draft contest. So I'm trying to work some things out as well. So far, this is a team, other than the Jaden Reed click, not very different than something I would have drafted in the big board, for instance. So I'm liking it from that regard. But I could have definitely forced some decisions and moved up some players. Like, I could have easily taken Rico Dowdle there instead of Jaden Reed and been happy with it. But we have Hampton, Cook, and Swift. Not going to feel too upset passing on RB4 in the 8th round. But deciding what risk level you're comfortable with, like seeing what will fall to you versus reaching on your guys and getting them at the value you believe is appropriate. You know, it's a tricky beam to balance, and nobody really knows the answer today. We're all trying to figure it out together, and we'll see what it looks like in a couple weeks. But so far, I'm comfortable with the roster. We'll see how it turns out. But I'm a little worried about Team 7, KC913. He took Tyler Warren and Tucker Kraft. He has Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne. I think he might snipe me here on Jordan Love, because it's pretty obvious Jordan Love is a player I'm kind of targeting. But he goes Baker Mayfield stacked with Igbuka. Can't stack both of them there, so happy to see that. Kyler off the board to Ragnar, going with 3 quarterbacks on that team. He's getting his guys. And that's putting a little bit of a premium on the quarterback position. Concepcion goes 105. I don't love that at all. All of the Browns receivers feel shaky. This is where, like, you could argue Fannin should be going. Given how they drafted. But who knows? I'm not convinced I know the answer definitively. But Young Moolah did not snipe me. Goes with J.K. Dobbins. And although there's some running backs I do like here, I think 100% I have to take Jordan Love. I think no matter what, that's a pick I'm locked into when I have Watson and Jaden Reed. So I'll go Jordan Love. And then the only decision here is, am I going Laporta, Wandale, Gainwell, or Golden? I like all of them here. Golden for the stack makes sense, but I think it's a little overkill. Laporta for the tight end value, I think, is the most compelling, but I also kind of want to be slow in my roll on that position. I'm going to go Laporta. I think vis-a-vis the respective positions, I think I'm getting the best value on a player I really, really trust and really want to target and covet. Laporta is one of my guys, and in round 10, I think he's a smash. I really like his value here in the 10th round, pick 109. And Golden goes immediately to Young Moolah. I think Golden is a very, very legit decision in the 10th round. He is not going to make it back to you at 131. And the Packers did not draft a new receiver. So first round draft capital with Golden, year 2 breakout, I think is definitely possible. But in reality, all Packers receivers are good clicks now that they've survived the draft. Looks like our like count kind of stalled out. I was hoping we'd be closer to 40 likes at this point. So if you haven't done so already, hit the like button. But odds are, if you're watching, we have fewer viewers than likes now. So odds are we'll be stuck. I think I'm still going to take a rip from the bong. Like, it's a fun day, good vibes, and maybe the like count goal was just a little too high today. But that's all right. I'm happy to do it. I'm a pack it. In the meantime, we're halfway through this draft, and I want to. At the end of the day, do whatever you want to. But very good. I mean, respective to closing line value, it is very legit, but I still think Aaron Rodgers was a better investment. I'm still in that cult. I mean, I'm still in the Rodgers cult. But Geno can secure 2 franchises back-to-back. One, I know, this is what I believe. This is what I think. The Jets are incompetent at trying to tank themselves, but Geno Smith, we trust. In Geno, we trust to secure Arch Manning, essentially. Whether it's Arch Manning or someone else, the 101 is what the Jets are vying for. But I also think Geno will play well enough with some of these weapons where he's going to give them like 5 or 6 wins. I think the Jets are also going to suck at tanking as well. The Jets are going to crash and burn. As always, the New York Jets can't fix their problems ever. But pick 1 is smoking something strong, really strong. Yeah, let's revisit Team 1 one more time. He went Puka, Allen, Pickens, Lamar, Henderson, Parker Washington, Ramondre, Ricky Pearsall, Quentin Johnston at 97, Oronde Gadsden at 120, and then Jake Ferguson 121. A lot of these picks after Allen are like at ADP. It's not egregious, but to take Allen and Lamar is pretty wild. Kind of insane. That late, I think is fine. Which running back room are we referring to, Scott? The Henderson Ramondre at 101? The double New England? Yeah, that feels very smart. Not going to catch me doing that. But Jonathan Brooks off the board at 131. Not sure I was going to do that. I think I'm going to go C-Rod. And then... Damn, some of the receivers are not that exciting here. But I do like C-Rod. And then a player I believe is just mispriced. I'm gonna go Dallas Goedert, 100%. Yeah, I love Laporta and Goddard. Like, these are really my 2 favorite tight ends at cost. If you see me drafting a shit ton of Laporta Goddard teams and then just stopping there, don't be surprised. I'll let you know now. These are 2 players I'm going to be targeting like crazy until their ADPs properly adjust. I also think round 12 is like the sweet spot for a lot of the tight end values. Like round 11, round 12, a really good sweet spot. It used to be round 13 and 12. But obviously things change over time. Now that Kelsey is clearly an 11th round pick, some of the tight ends are starting to fall off. And there's just true top 5 upside still lingering for both Laporta and Goddard. Sometimes they disappear, but a good offense at the end of the day, going to have high touchdown production. And pick 133, I think Goddard is a smash. Really like that a lot. But... we get C-Rod, Chris Rodriguez, Kind of survived the draft, if you ask me. Not, maybe not like a true guarantee. They did take a guard in the third. Pregnant out of Oregon does help, but they did not draft anyone. So unless you believe in LaQuint Allen, then the contract they gave Chris Rodriguez is pretty viable. And for him to go after Jonathan Brooks, I'm not convinced is like correct. So give me C-Rod as our fourth running back. And I'm going to need to hammer wide receiver for like probably 4 of the next 6 rounds. I think I need a receiver. Yeah, he did both. He did both. The team that moved off of Geno had the last pick in the draft because they won the Super Bowl, and the team with Geno had pick number 1. So if anything, the Raiders are going to be a playoff team this year. Lock it in. The Raiders in the playoffs is actually a pretty solid bet when you really think about that. The Geno abundance theory. Once he leaves, your team is in great shape. And ultimately, once you have him, you can also just blame all your problems on Geno, like he said. Everyone blames their problems on Geno. And definitely a reason to be optimistic about the Raiders. But after these 2 picks, I will take that bong rip. Even though we didn't get 42 likes, I'm in the mood for it. I am overruling the like goal. All right, so some of the receivers I used to think were valuable here, maybe a little less valuable, like Jalen McMillan having to compete with Ted Hurst now, maybe a little problem. But I mentioned it to you. I think I really need to draft some wide receivers here. And I'm just going to go with like 2 guys I think can still really deliver. Give me Diggs and Debo. I feel good about the 3 veteran free agents that are still on the board. Whether it's Juwan Jennings, Stephon Diggs, or Debo Samuel, I know for a fact they're going to sign a contract. And once they do, you know goddamn well they're moving up significantly. Wherever it is they're going, they're moving up. And I think that the Dolphins are still viable. I think that the Raiders are pretty viable. I think the Chargers are interesting as fuck. A little tricky, but let me take another bong rip, and then we'll get back with maybe another landing spot potential for these guys. Kind of started my exhale a little early. My bad. But smoke it if you got it. We mentioned the Colts as well. The Colts didn't draft a receiver. The Colts could maybe be in the market for someone. And at the very least, with so many question marks on some of these later round receivers, I love getting these 2 veterans as a bit of a safety valve. But Flyfish is going to be so sad watching the Jets and Arizona out-tank each other for Arch, especially when the Jets couldn't pull it off with Brady effing Cook. Yeah, I think the Jets are probably like a sneaky team to like start off 1-8, bench Geno, and then still finish with like 5 or 6 wins and have like the 5th pick of the draft. Like I think the Jets are going to botch their tank. They got some interesting weapons on offense, and I think they're going to fuck it up. But my running back room, Scott, you like the running back room? I'm liking it too. We got Hampton, James Cook, DeAndre Swift, and Chris Rodriguez. Definitely pretty balanced, pretty strong. And so far, the team feels pretty good. Like, we got the Herbert double stack with Ladd and Hampton. We have Jordan Love double stacked with Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. Laporta, a nice value. Goddard, a nice value. And then this Diggs Debo backstop definitely keeps my receiver room viable. But yeah, overall, I like the team myself. So appreciate your thoughts. Everin Flux says he should probably just stop at those 2 running backs and do the bully double New England RB build. Yeah, they took Charbonnet, Woody Marks, and Tajay. Team 1 don't know what the fuck the Team 1 is doing. I don't think Team 1 has any clue. But sadly, my boys go Brian Robinson at 172 and Tank Bigsby at 173. It is the correct decision. They should be going much higher. So I passed on them voluntarily at the 13-14 turn. It is what it is. I will move on, though, because I still think I'm okay. I think I have enough committed to running back so far. I think I'm in a good spot. But yeah, I think Team 1 is officially confirmed in the donation bin. That team has Puka at 101. That pretty much sealed it right off the bat. The Josh Allen click didn't seal it, but pairing him with Lamar probably did. And then once we look at the running back room in totality, it's very guaranteed. Then he goes Judy. The fuck is he doing? Damn it, Trey Harris was sniped. That sucks. Definitely wanted Trey Harris. Nick Singleton, kind of interesting, but I think I'm gonna go. Damn it, this is a little tough. I 100% need a running back with one of these. I think I'm going running back with one. Give me Nick Singleton. Very, very curious to see what he does in Tennessee. And he's my 5th running back. I might stop there. Tyreek Hill also could talk myself into it, in all honesty. Whether he goes to the Chiefs or the Chargers, like, he'd be interesting. So I go Tyreek Hill. We get another free agent. But pick 181 in an 18th round draft. I'm willing to risk it at wide receiver 7. I'm willing to risk it. We could luck into a Herbert stack. I find it hard to imagine we're lucking into a Jordan Love stack. That'd be pretty shocking. But if he goes to the Chiefs, that'd be pretty cool. And the only receiver they drafted is Cyrus Allen out of Cincinnati in the 5th round. I'm not convinced that moves the needle at all. Let's take a look at the Chiefs offense. Where are they? Here we go. Under contract. At wide receiver, their highest paid is Tyquan Thornton. They have Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Jalen Royals, Cyrus Allen, and then nobody's behind that. So I could see that reunion perhaps in the cards. But if he's not going to reunite with Andy Reid, maybe he reunites with Mike McDaniel, and maybe I do luck into a Justin Herbert, Tyreek Hill stack. But if Tyreek Hill does anything, whether it's just 3 games next season where he does Tyreek Hill level things, in best ball, I think it's a viable click. But I wanted Trey Harris, no doubt about it. Young Moolah was not going to let me have it. Did not appreciate the snipe Young Moolah at 179 on Trey Harris. You knew I wanted him, but you said no. And I think he's a phenomenal click. Definitely survived the draft, in my opinion. Maybe they bring in a free agent, but survived the draft at least. Love Trey Harris at cost. I think Trey Harris should be going above Tesla, above Denzel Boston, above Ayuk at the moment. Maybe not above Diggs and Debo. I did take them myself, but given the Mekhi Lemon drafting, I'd rather have Trey Harris than Dontavian Wicks. Give me Herbert's wide receiver 3 all day over Jalen Hurts, wide receiver 3, who as of today is wide receiver 4. Dontavian Wicks does not feel that inspiring. But it's not like Tyreek Hill is inspiring. I just wanted Trey Harris bad. Trey Harris would have made this team phenomenal had I gotten him. But while I'm waiting, I'm going to do one more bong rip. That one was nice. We see Deshaun Stribling go. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the market does on Christian Kirk versus Stribling. I take a lot of Kirk in the pre-draft process. I only took Stribling like once or twice. But I'm curious to see what the market does with the two of them. And at least when I'm curious to see what happens, I don't force it myself. But damn, Rodgers was going to be a nice click there. I think I can still get away with Herbert and Love, though. These are my final two clicks, however. I think I'm still Jordan James. And then this feels very compelling. I'm going to go Skylar Bell in Buffalo. Just because he's in Buffalo. I wish they had Chris Bell. Chris Bell went to the Dolphins. But give me a Bills receiver. All right, so the last four receivers I take, we don't have a clear role for definitively, but Skylar Bell in Buffalo, very, very compelling. Just because of the landing spot. Might be terrible, though. Could be dog shit. But final round, not quite sure as of today what is the true correct path to be taking. And I did not have a stacking option I liked for Herbert there. I didn't have one for Jordan Love available. I would have loved to take Aaron Rodgers and like Jeremy Bernard. But I missed out. Jeremy, Freiermuth go right above Rodgers at 200, 201, and 202. And those three options feel like phenomenal values. Really good clicks. Maybe I should have taken Rodgers instead of Tyreek Hill. I think maybe that's where I should have gone if I wanted Rodgers. But I'm trying to see what the market is like. I'm willing to push Rodgers to the final round. We took him in the last one, and it felt a little unnecessary but valuable. Maybe around 17 is just going to be the price. So at the end of round 17, don't expect to get him. But if he's there, I think he's a great value. All three of those Steelers look like great clicks. Freiermuth, Jeremy Bernard, and Rodgers. Outside pick 200. Feel great. So this is my team. I'll go round by round on this team review. We'll see how it felt. But we go double running back at the bookend with Hampton and James Cook. Never regretting that start. And then we double down in LA with Ladd McConkey and grab T. Higgins at the turn. Very, very happy with that. I pass on Burrow, and instead I go DeAndre Swift and Christian Watson. So I'm really glad I commit to Jordan Love. If I am going to take Watson instead of Burrow there, I think we need to make it worth our while. And the argument I'm making is that Jordan Love is just going to be such a good value. He is so much more valuable that you should be passing on a Burrow stack for a Jordan Love stack later. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe you should just take Burrow. I am fine taking Burrow with Higgins there, but I thought the value on Watson was compelling. I go Herbert for the double stack, definitely a needed selection. And then I kind of lock myself into the Jordan Love commitment and also prevent someone from sniping me a little bit. I only had to worry about the Tucker Kraft drafter after this. We take Jaden Reed also in Green Bay, survived the draft and has elite spike week potential. Love Jaden Reed in round 8. I think he's a great click. But I did not get Quentin Johnson to fall back. Would have loved that. But instead we go with Jordan Love for the Green Bay stack. And then I get Sam Laporta at a nice value. I'm definitely taking Laporta. C-Rod at 132. My RB4 feels very strong. So that room is secure. I have Goddard at 133. I think one of the best values at tight end on the board. So going to be taking a shit ton of him wherever I can, especially in the 12th round. And then I go with some veteran free agents who at the very least are going at one of their cheapest prices they will all summer. Give it a couple weeks, but Diggs, Debo, and Tyreek Hill will indeed sign somewhere, and their ADPs will be moving up. There are some landing spots where someone can get a lot of volume, a lot of targets, just like Diggs and Debo did last year. I think they're too good to ignore, but they're also on the older side of the market. All three of these guys are over the age of 30. So who knows? They might just be too injured to contribute, but at the very least, I like the value. And I think it'll be more expensive pretty soon. I took Nick Singleton because I think this running back room can warrant some risk. I like him a lot, and I'm not convinced that Tyjae Spears is the guy you want. Meanwhile, I'm also not convinced that Tony Pollard is a smash in the 90s. Give me Rico Dowdle over Tony Pollard all day. They go back to back, and I could see Tony Pollard not be very good. He's 29 years old, could get hurt as well. He played well enough last year. I feel like he's definitely the guy you want to be drafting first. But in terms of value, I do think Nick Singleton is really compelling. As long as Singleton is healthy, I do think he will demand touches. And I think at this point in time, he will probably beat out Tyjae Spears in camp. He's already running. His foot injury at the Senior Bowl is behind him. And when training camp comes around, I think the rookie will pop. So I like Singleton a lot. And I think at 180, he's fair game. Tyreek Hill at 181 in an 18th round draft could be a 0, but just need him to spike a couple times to be worth it. So I think he's also fair game. We go Jordan James. It could be Kalen Black. The Jordan James versus Kalen Black debate is very interesting, but we already knew that the Niners were going to take a running back in the 3rd round. They always do. It was written on the wall, and everyone kind of viewed it as a big reach. So I'm going to still be in the Jordan James camp. I might be pivoting later in the year, but as of today, I still think you want the Niners handcuff, and I believe that is Jordan James at this moment in time. So I'll take him as RB6, not really counting on him much, but if he does pop, that's a league winner. I want a player like that. I wanted to go Rodgers, but got sniped, and then I saw that we got a Bills wideout still on the board, and I got wide-eyed and took Skylar Bell. Despite not being the most compelling athlete, he's in Buffalo, and that's all I need to know. Let's take a look at the Bills draft as well, just to put it in context. They didn't have a first-round pick. In the 2nd round, they went TJ Parker, edge rusher. They also took Davison Igbinosun in the 2nd round at corner. They took a tackle in the 4th, and Skylar Bell, wide receiver, in round 4. They had a 3rd, 4th round pick, and they went linebacker. But really the only weapon that they brought into town is Skylar Bell. And we don't really trust Keon Coleman. We don't really trust Josh Palmer. I don't think Terrell Shavers is someone I want to draft. So you're not going to see me taking Keon Coleman, but I don't think DJ Moore is going to get everything. And then I feel pretty underwhelmed with Khalil Shakir, who was a 5th round pick at the end of the day. They took Khalil Shakir later in the draft as to where they're taking Skylar Bell. So a quick reminder on Skylar Bell. I didn't love him in the pre-draft process, but I do think I don't want to put too much thought into it these days. And as a player, I should probably maybe have had more shares of. Like, these stats aren't terrible. 6 feet, 192, so could be heavier, but runs a 440. Has very good burst, 98th percentile in burst, and so that's a high 10-yard split. That's definitely a very valuable stat to rank highly in. And then the catch radius is pretty strong, 82nd percentile, not elite, but not bad at all, pretty good. Definitely viable. So I think given there's a lot of targets up for grabs there, you definitely want to be drafting DJ Moore, but for the value, I could see Skylar Bell be pretty interesting. Played all 5 years in college. Last season, finally kind of broke out, had 101 catches, 1278 receiving yards, and 13 touchdowns. He did play. Why don't they have his college listed? He started out at Wisconsin, but it looks like he transferred. Sorry, I got Leia on the keyboard, so he mistyped it. It heard the meow and was like, I don't think this person's human. He played for Connecticut last 2 years, so kind of a move down in terms of conference. Not ideal, but He did play pretty well last year, at the very least. He was an All-American, at the very least. But in Buffalo, they're not the best track record for drafting wide receiver. But I'm willing to mix him in. Who knows? I did like Chris Bell more, however. He went to Miami, and I don't want to be drafting a Dolphin. I just don't. Give me another Bill. We have James Cook and Skylar Bell, double bills on this one. Okay, that team was pretty solid. My wide receiver room, though, still has a lot of question marks. Could be bad, but tight end room feels good, running back room feels great, and then quarterback room, only 2, but perfectly viable and fine with the double stack with Herbert and Jordan Love on this team. All right, I want to take a look at Young Mulah's team. He's at 111. I want to take a look at Ragnar's team, and then Pac Fanto, and then I'll say goodbye. Let's do it quickly. We got Young Mulah at the 11. He also goes 2-6-8-2. Trevor Lawrence, Jackson Dart, pretty good at quarterback in rounds 7 and 8. Ashton Genty, David Montgomery, Baishal Tootin. So pulled up Montgomery at 38. Didn't give a shit. And then got Baishal Tootin to fall a little bit. So that's going to be a unique combo. We're not going to see Montgomery and Tootin drafted together too often. So in that regard, it works. And day one of the contest, if he's not going to make it back to you, do whatever you want, man. I don't hate it. Let's see how the rest of it worked out. Also got Dobbins at 107. Coleman coming to town is interesting, but I do think he's the most valuable Bronco to draft right now at running back. So very good click. Did snipe me on Brooks. I was interested in Brooks, but 131, not an atrocious click. And then your boy Marshawn Lloyd did survive the draft. Maybe Marshawn Lloyd is indeed an excellent decision, but maybe it's Chris Brooks. Who knows at this point? Lloyd just never stays healthy. If he does, I still liked him a lot coming out of college. Receiver, though, we have Neighbors, Ted McMillan, Brian Thomas, Matthew Golden, Isaac Tesla, Trey Harris, Ryan Flournoy, Malachi Fields. Pretty strong receiver room. Hate that you sniped me on Trey Harris, but pretty viable. The Lions did draft another receiver, though. Tesla's a little hard to justify reaching by a full round sometimes, but you probably weren't going to get him to fall back, so I guess it does make sense. Flournoy and Fields makes plenty of sense. You got the Dart stack. You also have Brian Thomas stacked up, and then Brenton Strange is stacked up, so is the other tight end. Yeah, very, very solid tight end room. Well correlated, and a pretty good floor option in Strange, paired with that elite ceiling in Isaiah Likely, and I know he's your boy. So pretty fun team. Love the Giants combo. Love the Jags stack. Pretty interesting. Only question is I hope David Montgomery was the correct decision there. I think you can get away with it. But to convince me he's more valuable than Javonte, that's a little bold. At the very least, you're more unique than a Javonte drafter, and that is also very valuable in and of itself. But Ted McMillan, I hope, is also correct. Your 3-4 turn is the only area where I'm like raising an eyebrow. I personally wouldn't do that, but I think I respect it enough to understand and think it was a good choice to really get very unique with this combination. So good luck, Young Mulah. I'll see you soon, and I hope you do well this summer in the contest. But let's take a look at Ragnar's team. He went with CMC and Ken Walker to start. He was at the 8th slot, 3-5-7-3 with Hurts, Brock Purdy, and Kyler Murray. Very strong quarterback room with some high draft capital spent. Christian McCaffrey stacked up, Kenneth Walker as the RB2. Jadarian Price at pick 56, so definitely just getting his guys in this one. Really high investments at running back and quarterback. We'll see how it shook out the rest of the way. But Rashad is the RB4, very valid. And then Damon Claiborne, I think, is a super sneaky, really interesting option in Minnesota. I want to be fading Jordan Mason. I want to be not fully committed to Aaron Jones with some injury risk. And then Damon Claiborne, a guy with some really high upside, good speed. I like him, but I'm not going to be drafting him like crazy too much. But the running back room is so good collectively. I like the swing with the rookie. Kind of similar to my Nick Singleton swing. Pretty nice. I do like his high outcome ceiling. Claiborne is a name. You'll see me click eventually. But wide receiver, I think, could be very tricky given how you spent your early round capital. We got Olave in the 3rd, Flowers in the 4th, Addison in the 7th, Downs in the 10th, Shakir in the 12th, Dontavian Wicks and Christian Kirk late. Yeah, the draft makes Wicks and Kirk a little tricky. So I'm not quite in love with the depth at receiver. Not going to lie. And with 3 tight ends, Henry, Hawkinson, and Freiermuth, very viable. But is it necessary? The receiver room, you have some decent floor plays, but I think you're really counting on Wicks and Christian Kirk here. I hope you can just get away with the top 3. I hope they can deliver like top 25 production this year. If they do, you're in business and you prove me wrong. But I find the receiver depth 4 through 7 kind of uninspiring. I think you went a little too risky at receiver, personally. That's my take. Maybe pushing Rashad White for receiver and then swapping out like Christian Kirk or Wicks. But they are stacked up at least. I do like that. Shakir, though, you got him at a value, but Shakir scares me. I took Skylar Bell, for fuck's sake. Shakir scares me, my man. So good luck there, but quarterback super strong. Tight end is very deep. And then running back is very strong. It's just receiver that might not work. So good luck, my man, but I respect it. I respect the risk. I think it's a very viable strategy, all in all. Pac Fanto, last team we're going to check out, and he was drafted at the 105. He also goes 3.573. Jaden Daniels, Sam Darnold, and Kirk Cousins, so a bit stronger at quarterback, but Cousins might be worthless in the playoffs. I think he's only going to start the beginning of the season. And then running back Bucky Irving, Quinchon, Rico Daddle, so the running back room is pretty solid. JCM, Tank Bigsby. Don't love JCM at all, but I do love Bigsby. And then wide receiver JSN Devontae Smith. Are we all convinced that Devontae just needs to be going over AJ Brown these days? I'm not so sure about that. But Devontae in the 3rd, I think, is still correct. Mekhi Lemon in Philly. You got a lot of Eagles, and you missed out on the stack. You and Ragnar kind of going against each other. Some snipage on y'all's part. But Chris Godwin is the wide receiver 4, pretty strong with Juwan Jennings, Travis Hunter, and Tank Dell. I like the swing with Hunter. I don't like it with Tank Dell. But if he hits, he will pop, so I guess it's all right. But tight end is elite with Bowers, Kelsey, and Gunnar Helm. I think I would have swapped out Gunnar Helm for another wideout. I think that's what I think this team is missing. Hunter and Dell, give me an 8th receiver instead of Gunnar Helm. When you have Bowers and Kelsey, I don't think it's worth it. But he can still hit the flex. It's not the end of the world. But how often is he really going to contribute is my big question. Structurally, I would have liked another receiver. But that is my take. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you made the correct strategy decision. And you do have Cousins as well. So round 17 and 18. A little tricky there. Anyways, one last reminder on my roster. I wish I had a 3rd quarterback, to be honest. I think this team would really benefit from a 3rd quarterback instead of a 6th RB. I wish it was Rodgers instead of Jordan James, but Herbert and Love just need to be correct, and I will get by. Hampton, James Cook, Swift, Rodriguez, Singleton, and Jordan James feels very good. Wide receiver feels good enough, but then high enough potential where it could be elite. A lack of floor, however, where maybe my depth is worthless. Maybe some of these guys do not contribute at all. But Ladd and T. Higgins, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Diggs, Debo, Tyreek Hill, Skylar Bell, and then really good tight ends in Laporte and Goddard. I like the team. For a 2 tight end build, I like the team a lot. But would have loved Rodgers over Jordan James. It is the final round. It is what it is. Anyways, can't be perfect. It's a Best Ball Mania draft, and that's our last of the day. I hope y'all had fun. I'm going to try to catch up with the chat real fast, but it's 555 make a wish, and we'll clear the bong right before we go. But Everin Flux says C-Rod is in wedlock with Liam Cohen. He's getting 10 touchdowns. I think he's a very viable bet, especially given how much Tootin was involved in the goal line. I think the goal line, at the very least in Jacksonville, is a spot where it's completely up for grabs, and it's a true committee. On the goal line especially. Love Chris Rodriguez, where I got him. Judy start to look like Jerry Rice if you squint enough. Fuck no. I don't know what you're talking about here, man. I completely disagree. They brought in Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston. Judy is tanking. If he's not getting traded, Judy feels worthless to me. But recently had to give up the hippie lettuce after partaking every day for the last 49 years, missing the feeling, but it's not addictive. Two Mules, I pray for you, my man. Whether it's just a tolerance break or it's quitting for good, respect the decision, and to each their own. When I went on vacation this week, I went to the Sequoias. I didn't bring any weed with me, believe it or not. My girlfriend brought an edible. I did take an edible Saturday night, but I didn't bring any weed. And sometimes it's nice. So good luck if you ever come back to it. It'll be there. But sometimes it's good to just do what you feel is right. Trust your intuition at the end of the day. Respect to you. Everin Flux says, I'll be addressing San Francisco's entire draft as UDFA signings. Do you have a channel, my man? If you do, I apologize. If I don't know, I'll check you out after I log off if you do. But sounds like you might be also a content creator on YouTube. But Flyfish, another quick reminder, Khalil Shakir was irrelevant as a rookie. That is fair. That is a fair reminder. But I'm just not inspired. I think they want to mix things up there. And who knows? Young Moolah and my team stacks square off against each other this year. Maybe get a shout out week 16 or 17. I hope you do get the stacks. Imagine a Jags-Giants matchup. I think that'd be a pretty good shootout. Ragnar downloaded ranks from a site I respect. They were way off ADP and have now been deleted. Switch to ADP and try and save my team. At the very least, early on, the ADP is very incorrect. Like, you're going to get stuck with some Jerry Judys if you just draft off of ADP right now. But you got to be mindful of what the board says, and then like use today and the first few days as kind of just like a feeler for like, what are people willing to do? That's where I think getting into the puppy is also pretty wise as well. But I'll see y'all tomorrow for sure. We'll be drafting in the puppy much more tomorrow. But Young Moolah says I have Demo right there with Javante in one spot ahead of Kyron, but pretty much I have them all pretty even. Texans will run the air out of the ball this year. Demo a potential league winner. I do think that take is pretty solid. If you believe it's a tier where they're all the same, then get your guy, man. I respect it. He was not going to make it back. And it's definitely unique. Set the tone, man. If nobody does it, though, and you can consistently get him in the fifth, be mindful of that as well. But at least today, I respect it out of the 111. But Scott, appreciate you, my man. You were the first comment, and I think you're the last. You're welcome. And let's clear the bong. If you got something to smoke it, I'll see you on the other side. But after that, I will sign off for sure. Peace out. Goodbye. Take care. I'll see you next time. Later.